I need to catch you up because we have so many guests here today. We are at the end of a journey that we've been on for a month. We have been working through, wrestling with a question that we started back in the beginning of January. If you knew for certain, without a doubt, you had 1 month to live, and only a month, 30 days, that's it, how would that change your life? What would you change? If you knew for certain, most of the time we don't know for certain. We don't know when that day's coming. But if you did, and you only had 1 month, what would it matter? It's a hard question, maybe a morbid question, but in fact what we've discovered is that the Bible invites us to ask that type of a question. It reminds us over and over again that we are temporary, that our days are very short, they move along rather quickly. They invite us to consider this so that we might be taught to number our days and appreciate them for what they are. So this question is really meant to kind of dig down into our lives, into our souls, and kind of make us ponder some deeper things that get lost in the day-to-day grind that's going along. Now, I've got some bad news for you. We're at the end of the journey. You only have 2 days left, folks. 2 days. You've spent it all. None of you saved a single day this past month. You've spent it all at the same rate. 2 days. What if Tuesday, you knew for sure, Tuesday was your last day on this planet? What would be adjusted in your life? That's what we're looking at. So, with looking at just 2 days left, we're at our final step. We need to talk about what it is to leave boldly. Because no one's getting any type of reprieve. No one's going to skirt outside of this. We all are going to have that day, whether it's in 2 days or 20 years or whenever. We are all going to leave. How do you leave boldly? And what I hope for you to take out of today is two perspectives, two ideas, two pictures that you can kind of work with and say, okay, this will teach me to number my days. So I need some boys, some Cub Scouts here to help me out here. Gabe, Kian, let's see, who else? River, Jay, come on up. Jay, you'll be the first one right here. Then River, you're right here. Here you go. Okay, Caleb, Dom, Eli, Joseph, Brian, Adam. Yeah, you were another one that I wanted to get up here. Come on, hurry up. We're going to talk about dimes, because money is all that matters in life. No, that's not true at all. This is the dime analogy. I want you guys to hold these up, facing the congregation, all right? Dimes. Every one of us might, if you're lucky, get 10 dimes in life, right? 10 dimes, if you're lucky. Now, for a lot of these guys, they're still working on their first dime. All right? They still have a second dime to go through. The Boy Scouts are already spending their second dime, but these guys still have a dime ahead of them. So they're doing all right. They got quite a bit ahead of them. As they start to spend their second dimes, go ahead and scoot down. You know, one of the perspective things is to start to go, I might get 10, maybe. I've spent 2. What am I going to do with the rest of my dimes? How am I going to make them matter? How am I going to make them count? What am I going to do with them? Now, unfortunately for many of us in the room, we're not savers. We've been spending here, right along here. We get a few dimes down, and suddenly we're kind of like in the middle. We're like, well, I still got a few dimes to spend, but I don't like how many dimes I've spent already. And you start to kind of wonder and think about it, and you evaluate your life a little bit. That's appropriate to be doing that because, you're realizing you only get so many. Keep them up, guys. Now, a few of you are really big-time spenders, and you keep on spending, and you're getting down here, and suddenly, you know what? You got more dimes behind you than you have in front of you. And you start to wonder about that. Well, What am I going to do with the dimes that I have left? Right? I've spent quite a few. I've spent them good, I've spent them bad, but they're behind me. I can't reclaim them. I'm only going to have these few. Then there's some of us that get right down here like Brian. We're like, holy mackerel. We're almost down to our last nickel. And what does that matter? Do we go into fretting? Do we panic? Do we go, I don't have any of my dimes left. I'm down to my last nickel, my last pennies. What do we do with this? If we're lucky, we get 10 dimes. Most of us are not going to get 10 dimes. How are you spending your dimes? All right, thanks, guys. Go ahead and put them in the front pew. You can take a seat. This is an easy illustration I actually learned from a Boy Scout that he gave when he was in review for his Eagle Scout, that this is what his parents shared with him to help him give some perspective about his life. He had spent 2. He only gets so many more to spend. What is he going to do with those? And when we look at that, we start to appreciate, wow, it's very few that we have, and it moves along fast. And so we begin to ask, what do I do with this? Well, I think it really comes down to one fundamental choice. Am I going to be about affluence, or am I going to be about influence? Affluence, we would normally think of that word of going, well, that's if I'm like bringing 6 figures, make $1 million, have my own jet. But I'm not going there because we're not in that category, right? We're not there. But affluence isn't just about megabucks. Affluence is to really look at life and say, what do I get out of this? How do I build up the stuff that I have? How do I increase my wealth? How do I make sure that I have the things that I want and the experiences that I want to get out of life, my own bucket list? The fundamental thing about affluence is to say, I need to get something from life. And I'm really in pursuit of what I want. This is as opposed to influence that begins to go, you know what? I'm going to be spending these dimes. And I could be accumulating things, or I could understand that each of us are called to influence someone else, to invest in other people, because that's the thing that lasts. No matter how much we invest into affluence, no matter how successful you are, it is all temporary. Think of a restaurant, right? You go in there. For a small period of time, you go, this is my table. I mean, if you go in there and you get seated at a table and then a stranger comes up and sits down, you're going to go, what are you sitting at my table for? This is my table, right? Get your fingers off my fries. But none of us would ever make the mistake of going, but this table doesn't belong to me before I showed up, and it is going to belong to me after I leave. I only have it for this brief moment of time to kind of enjoy this food. Everything that we build up in life is temporary. I heard about this shop that sells used things. It's got a great name. You want to know it? Dead people stuff. Dead people stuff. Because everything you've got is going to land in somebody else's cart someday. Shoot, half the stuff you have is probably from somebody that's already passed along. It's all temporary, folks. And if you go, I've got these so many dimes, and I've got to, I've got to spend them the right way to build up what I want, it's all going to wash away. It's like kids that build sandcastles at the seashore. It looks good for a while. It looks neat. It's kind of cool. But ever behind it is the ocean. That sandcastle is temporary. Now, it's not wrong to have things. It's not wrong to have money. It's not, this isn't the point of going, okay, we got to all live in a cardboard box. That's not the point. It's what drives your life. Is it about accumulating what I want, or saying, no, I'm put here for a purpose, for a reason to invest in others? I see this every week when I come to Scouts. Because there's a whole bunch of leaders that make this thing happen, that it would be 10 times easier in their life. And I know it. If they just go, Tuesday nights, I'd like to go home, kick off my shoes, crack open a can of Coke and watch my TV show and not have any aggravation in my life. Instead, they come to the joys of gFREE and the Cub Scouting program, and they pour themselves out, and they pull a little bit of their hair out maybe on a given Tuesday. But they've chosen to influence, not for their comfort, not for their convenience, not for what they get, but what they can give. I like how Dave put it here when he accepted becoming Cub Master. He came to me, he said he was watching a movie. I think it was Cars, wasn't it? He said, Noel, it hit me. This is about investing in the kids. It's about mentoring. And that's exactly right on the dot. See, that stuff can't be taken away. That won't ever be lost. That will outlive however many dimes you get. Your stuff, temporary. It's going to wash away as sure as the tide will come in and obliterate any sandcastle that you build. So how do we do this? What's involved? Do we just kind of wake up and go, hey, I'm going to be an influencer? It takes three things. It takes some convictions. It takes some character. It takes some obedience. Convictions are those rock-solid things in our life that we go, this is true. This is why I do what I do. This is why I get up. This is why I may sacrifice. This is why I may give up my time, my resources for these things. This drives me. If we just allow life to kind of go along, it's going to rob and take things from us, distract us, chew up our time. We'll spend dimes easy. But convictions, they drive meaning into our time. I know what I'm about. So I wonder if you would go home this week and go, what are my top 5 convictions about life? What really matters? What drives me? What would be on your list? It's easy to forget. But if you want to leave boldly, you better know what you stand on. And once you know that, then you got to add to that character. Character is that integrity, that sense of becoming that is rock solid. This is the very essence of what Cub Scouting and Boy Scouting is all about. If this was just an activity club, frankly, this would be a waste of time. I don't know if it'd be worth the aggravation. It'd be fun. We'd do a lot of stuff. But at the very core of what Cub Scouting is, what Boy Scouting is to say we're building character into boys. So that's why we have the Scout Oath. That's why we have the Scout Law. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, friendly, helpful, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. These are the things that make life matter. This is what we want to pass on in sharing time with you. And if you go into Boy Scouts, to be building that, the activities are just really the soil that we plant the seed of a soul in and say, we're building a life. We're building character. Because I want you to hear me, boys. Becoming always is more important, will always trump the activities that we do. We do not measure our dimes by how fast we're moving around, by the things that we do. You measure your dimes by the person that you're becoming, by the character that God is working in your life. What do you want to be known for? What do you want to be written in your obituary of what you're known as? That's the character. Now, you can have those two, but there's a third category here, and that's obedience. Because you can be a swell person, have good character, but if you want to really take the Scout Law for what it means, and the final and climactic thing is a scout is reverent, that we are connected to someone larger and greater, that we are connected to God. Invariably, when we bring God into our life, He calls us to things that we might not choose, things that we might not expect, but they are our call to say, you know what? I'm going to receive that guidance. I need somebody kind of outside of my life. I can see and figure out a few things here from my perspective, but I want someone's guidance that's from outside and will I follow that voice? Will I follow his lead in my life? When you build these three things in, you're starting to make your dimes matter, no matter how many you have or how few you have. This is February, so this is Black History Month. One of our famous personalities that we celebrate is Martin Luther King Jr. We have a big statue of him in the Washington Mall. It's really fantastic. Yeah, it's bigger than me even, if you can believe that, right? And why did we do that? He was a pastor just like me. He had a couple good speeches. He probably was a really good preacher. A few good speeches out there, right? He was way better than me. Thanks for pointing that out, Zach. Enjoy your lunch tomorrow. No, you know what? Think about this. He was a pretty talented guy. He could have found himself a pretty sweet church, been very popular, had a large congregation, had a set life. He didn't need to invite trouble into his life. But he said, life is not about affluence, what I get. It's about influence, what I give. And so he really spoiled his life. He invited trouble and heartache and misery, and he lost a number of dimes for the stands that he took. And he says it's worth it all. See, the measure of life is not how many dimes you have, but how you spent the dimes. And he's going, it's about convictions. It's about what I'm standing on. It's about my character and who I'm becoming and who I want America to be. He wasn't a black leader. He was an American leader. He was for all of us. He wanted us to really be and achieve who we set out to be. And we're a better country for it. He obeyed God. And he would tell you this. He didn't just scheme this all up. He felt God's call to say, I'm going to be a leader to bring peace and justice to our country. Now, you might go, well, wow, that's a pretty big example. I don't think I can do anything that big, you know. I got some dimes to spend, but I don't know if I can really do something that big. Well, here's the cool thing. God's really unimpressed with the statue. And I know this for a fact because Jesus said it. There's a story in Matthew 25 that Jesus tells about the end. He tells a parable. And he says, look, here's what's going to happen. Everybody at the end of their lives are going to come before God. And God's going to divvy up people. He's going to say, you guys got it right, you guys got it wrong here. And he's going to go to the right people and say, look, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. When I was lacking clothes, you gave me clothes. When I was in jail, you came and visited me. Now, that's an impressive list, and we oftentimes kind of look at that and say, these are good things to do, and certainly they are. But here's the important thing about this story, is the people's response. They said, Lord, when did we see this? When did we do this? I don't quite remember this on my date planner. I remember, filing some things at work and shoveling off the driveway and, getting the oil changed. I got lots of things that I kind of remember, but I don't remember this stuff. Well, the king is going to respond, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters, the people that people forget about, that say don't matter, they don't have any influence, they don't have any affluence, they're just the left behinds. What you did for one of those, you did for me. You know what the story does? Is it flips our evaluation of the things that really matter. MLK Jr. is going to go up to heaven. He's going to go, look at my big old statue, God. Look at that. That's pretty good, huh? Jesus is going to go, yawn. That's not impressive. Now, what you did over here, when you took care of this person, nobody ever heard about, it wasn't written down, it wasn't made into a movie, you totally forgot about it when you did this, man, that was impressive. I love that. We think the big things are what impress God. When Jesus says, it's the very little things, to the littlest of people, to the least expected, to the least known, that's what really impresses God. Any of us can do that. Now, we'll go, well, all right, that's all right, but I don't know that I really can make much of a difference. I don't have the time, or I just don't have the resources. I don't have the skills. I really can't do much. I don't see a difference that I can make. I love the quote from Helen Keller. You know who Helen Keller is. You guys probably don't. The blind lady, when they didn't have many resources, and she learned and fought through a lot of struggles and improved a lot of things for blind people. Here's what she said. I am only one, but I am still one. I can't do everything, but still I can do something. And just because I can't do everything doesn't mean that I'll do nothing. I choose to do something. That was the very reason you were given the dimes. Not to do something that somebody builds you a statue and puts your name on a plate. If they do it, whatever. It's to do the things that matter. To make the difference as best you can. To spend your dimes the way that God gave them to you for you. All right, let's give you a second picture here. All right, I'm going to need some help, boys. Let's see here. All right, Zach. You better not screw this up, though. You're already to tomorrow's lunch, okay? All right, so go ahead and take this and start walking down that way. Just walk straight. All right, who else? Come on, Brennan. Hold on. All right, grab hold. Keep walking that way, guys. Come on. You want to help me out? No? Okay. All right, Eli. You can get on here. All right. Keep going. There's more. There's still more. All right, Gabe, jump in on this. Here, hold on. All right, keep going. Yeah, just go right on out that door. There's still more. All right, that's good. All right, Kean, come here. Right here. All right, this is a timeline. Go ahead and shut the door. There you go. That's perfect. This represents a timeline. You know of what? How long it took me to grow my beard. 3 months. I'm pretty proud of it. Well, yeah, how about that, It took a lot of Rogaine. No, this is a timeline of eternity. And it just keeps on going because there's still more, and it goes beyond even what we can see and what we can know. Now, there's something interesting here. Do you have something at the end of your line there? Is there something there? What is that?
Plug.
It's a plug. Oh, it's something blue. I wonder what that represents. That represents your 10 dimes. We look at the dimes and we go, we got to make those matter. But then the Bible calls us to this place of going, now get the larger perspective. Your life is just a brief moment in really what's going on here. Keep a hold of that. It's really this place of going, it's about time versus eternity. We get so wrapped up in time and going, how do we get more into it? How do we make it matter more? How do we figure out to fit more into here or relax more? And that's fine. But we need to be invited into another place where we're going, you know what? This is just a starting place for us. We haven't talked much about this over the course of this month. But while our life is brief, our existence, the Bible says, goes on. This is just a warm-up. And what happens here matters for the rest of the time. If we would kind of go, wow, man, I got to get so absorbed with what's happening here that we ignore the rest, we're fools. We're fools. All right, thanks, guys. You can go ahead and take a seat. Just put it right down on the ground. Right there. There you go. See, one of the biggest mistakes we can make about life, just drop it. Just drop it. One of the biggest mistakes is that we get so involved with this life that we forget the deeper truth. That every one of us, I don't care what nationality you are, I don't care what religion you are, I don't care what your checkbook says, I don't care what distinction you could give. Every one of us will stand before our Creator and be asked one question. It's the question that Rick Warren put in his book, The Purpose-Driven Life. I gave you this life. Now, what did you use it for? That's going to determine quite a bit here, folks. It doesn't determine all of our destiny on what we've done. We understand that we get the whole rope not because I've been good enough, not because I have a good enough character or deep enough convictions. It's because of who Jesus is and whether I put my trust in him. But there is another question of going, what did you spend your life on? Paul makes mention of this very explicitly in one of his letters. All right, who's got it? I forget who my readers are. Yeah, that's right. Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. Who's got the right one? Sorry, guys. I forget who I give stuff to. Let's see here. Yeah, you're it. How about it? There you go. All right, go for it. Take a listen.
If anyone builds on this foundation using gold, silver, costly stones, wood, hay, or straw, their work will be shown for what it is, because the day will bring it to light. It will be revealed with fire, and the fire will test the quality of each person's work. If what has been built survives, the builder will receive a reward. If it is burned up, the builder will suffer loss, but yet will be saved, even though only as one escaping through the flames.
All right, thank you. Yeah, Paul is going, you might have the right foundation. You might have faith. You might trust Jesus. You might be building the right things, but then we build stuff on top of that. And if you only build for yourself, if you build and waste these dimes, every one of us is going to walk into eternity, and it's going to be tested, not with the waters to the sand, but with fire to our buildings. And some of our stuff's going to get burned up, folks, because we wasted it. We squandered it. It was built on us. It was built for us. Some of our stuff is going to last because it was built on the right stuff. It's built in obedience to God. And Paul says, man, when you have that, then you get a reward because you spent your dimes right. What we will have is what we have sent forward. The good things that we do, God recognizes those and says, man, you used the life I gave you wisely. You used it well. And we want to build on that. Now, the other part of this that might distract us, that makes us kind of forget about this perspective of the life compared to all eternity, is that we get wounded. This short, brief life can be very hard. There's a lot of wounds. There's nicks and cuts that kind of come along our way. And what happens is because of those wounds, we carry them in a certain way that shuts us out from other people's lives. It shuts us down and sidetracks our purpose. It might even be that you go, man, I just don't understand why this happened. And you know what? I can't reconcile it. And you shut down even towards God and say, the pain right here is too much for me to really grab hold of everything that I was supposed to. Paul talks about that too. He had a tough life. When he started obeying God, things didn't go well for him. But he said, I give you this encouragement. Come on up here, Sean. Go ahead.
Therefore we do not lose heart. Through outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but what is unseen, since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. He goes, look, life is hard. We're taking our whacks. We're taking our hits. But here's the truth. I want to keep the things that happen in this small part in perspective with the whole deal. And no matter how good your best day is, it's nothing compared to what's yet to come. And no matter how bad and evil and hurtful your worst day is, it can't diminish what is ahead of you. So we don't lose heart. We stay in the game. We spend the dimes that we've got knowing that this isn't the end of the story. We make sure that we have faith in Christ, that we're building on the right foundation, but we also make sure that we don't give up on the plan. What are you building your life on? What are you investing in? There's a great book that I love. I've talked about it a number of times. It's called The Great Divorce. It's not about divorce. It's not about marriage or anything like that. It's a parable, in one sense, about heaven and hell, written by C.S. Lewis. And the way that he describes it is that the people on the edge of hell can have anything they want just by thinking it. They have maximum affluence. Anything I want, I can have. The invitation to heaven is to let that go and to grab hold of what's real. Because the result of having maximum affluence is that people move further and further away. In fact, the people that are furthest away, you can't even see them. You have to look through a telescope to just see the light of their house. Because when it's just about us, everybody else is an annoyance. But when we let go of these things, we let go of things, we let go of possessions, we let go of getting my way, we start to become real. That's what it means to move into heaven. To become real. To be the ones that God has made us to be. That's how you lead boldly. You live boldly by living for influence, whatever way that you can, by keeping perspective and saying, whether I've got 2 days, 20 years, or whatever many dimes that I have, I'm going to make them matter because this life matters because it's connected to something much larger than just these few days. I put some challenges on your next step card, on the next steps on your back of your card there. I want you to consider those as we listen to this video. This video is not a reflective video. It is a video that calls us to say, now is the time to act. Today matters. How will you spend today?